Cadair Idris is a range of mountains lying at the southern end of Snowdonia in Wales. It consists of 4 major peaks, all of which are around 3,000 feet in height. And our path today begins in Minffordd at the junction of the A487 with the B4405. This range of mountains lies to the south of Barmouth, which is the nearest major city. The path begins steeply through a wooded valley with some very pleasant streams along the way, up to a central plateau, which you can see coming into view here. The path then proceeds to the tarn called Lyn Cau, and then heads south up a very steep incline to a ridge which runs along the southern flank of the main peak. This ridge isn't quite steep enough to be called an arête, but it's pretty close, and the views down to the tarn are very impressive. The path then proceeds westerly and then turns northerly and becomes very steep to the very first peak of the day, shown on the map as Llyn Cau. I'm sure I haven't pronounced that correctly. The path then proceeds down into a gully and then up the other side of this valley, this short valley, to the highest point in the Cadair range, called Penygadair. This peak stands at 893 metres above sea level, which is just under 3,000 feet. From here, the route is reversed and we descend back down to Cwm Amarch and then down a very steep path that leads straight down to the tarn, heading in an easterly direction. We then walk along the northern shore of the tarn and pick up the rest of the Minffordd path, following the route that we'd used on the way up, all the way back down to the car park. The entire route is about 6 miles and is a very difficult route, not technically but very physically demanding. It's not really for people who don't walk very often, but for those of us who do and can, it is a most splendid route, taking in some wonderful panoramas of the very best that Snowdonia has to offer. Well, good morning everybody. Here I am in mid-West Wales in the Cadair Idris range, and this is the beginning of the ascent. It's a good path but incredibly steep, very lush and forested. Lovely stream which is not in view at the moment down there. So the path has levelled off just a bit and we're coming up to the tarn, and I think that's probably about a third of the way up. God, it's a steep climb. And I'm struggling a bit more than last time. I'm trying to think when I was here last time, maybe 3 years ago. So here we are at the end of what could be said to be stage 1 of the ascent, up to this tarn here, and then we go up to the ridge where we can get some really good views. But again, very steep but a wonderfully maintained path. Oh. Nearly there. Oh dear. And here comes the view. Not the top, but the beginning of the ridge that goes to the top. The first time I came here I was just absolutely, to use the phrase, blown away by this. But today it's a little bit misty, but this is spectacular. You can see glistening in the road there in the ahead. You can see a pass which is for vehicles, so one day I'll perhaps go over that. So here we are. Now this valley here is one of 2 that the RAF and other air forces practice bombing runs along, and it's famously known as the Mac Loop. It's all over YouTube. People climb not onto the top of Cadair Idris but to the end of the ridge connecting to Cadair Idris, and they photograph these jets going through at high speed. There is the path going along this ridge now on its way to the summit. Probably about another 45 minutes to go. This last push to the top is relentless. Unrelenting. climb it, you need to be relentless. Oh God. Blowing really strong going up here. So we have a stile at the top of the hill. Well, I'd forgotten that where I've just come down from isn't the summit. I'd forgotten that. The summit is over here. So I've had to do one of those awful down and ups. And my knees are a bit tired now, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fare. Peaceful place to be buried.